Welcome to Blue Talks.
Hi. So let me ask you, we're going to talk about the 3 steps to untangle messy emotional situations. How many of you have or have experienced messy emotional situations? Yes. Would we not agree that the world is currently in a messy emotional situation? Yes? Okay. And that probably is going to be true no matter what time we talk about this conversation, yes? So before we get into the 3 steps, I want to sort of give you an overview of the anatomy of emotion. I like to look at it mechanically because most people think that emotions are something you can catch, like air. You can't just catch an emotion. It's not just flying in the air. Emotion happens internally. So let's break down how emotion works. So first, we're either looking at something, we have an observation, or having a memory of something, and that can even be conscious or subconscious. So if it's subconscious, it might happen so fast that you don't even know what's happening. So you're thinking, oh my God, I'm having these feelings all of a sudden, what's happening? So remember, first we start with an observation or memory, and then our brain has to interpret what that means for us. Now, if you can imagine, there are millions of ways that we each interpret things differently, from our birth order, to our astrology, to our traumas and life experience. Everything about how we interpret race, religion, socioeconomic status. There are so many ways in which we form our interpretations. And it's those interpretations that then create the meaning, which then we have an emotion to. Yes, makes sense? So when we're having an emotion, it's something within us. It's not something outside of us. So too often when people react emotionally, we go from one time we're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm feeling so great. And then this thing happens and all of a sudden I'm having this negative emotion. It must be your fault. You're to blame. You're the reason why I feel bad right now. No. The meaning that I created to the situation evoked a feeling inside of me. So if we can understand that our emotions are ours and they're created from our triggers, our traumas, and everything else about what goes on from the time we're born until now, the only person responsible for our emotions is us. It's not about what's outside of us, it's about what's in us. So now let's take this into a usable framework of how to deconstruct what's happening so I can take my power back and I can learn how to get my needs met. The work that I'm about to share with you came from Dr. Marshall Rosenberg, who wrote Nonviolent Communication. And I stumbled upon his work back in 2003 or 4 when I was trying to save my marriage. There's nothing like focusing with contrast, right? The bad things that happen to us, the uncomfortable things are a blessing because they force us to get real fast. It brings up what's important to me. And I'm an excellent problem solver, so I thought, I can do this. I can figure this out. I can learn how to change myself, talk to him differently, figure out what's going on. What are the mechanics of marriage and relationships? So that's when I took this deep dive and I stumbled upon Dr. Marshall Rosenberg's Nonviolent Communication. Terrible title. Hated the title. I never identified myself as a violent communicator, so I stayed away from it for a little while, and then I finally thought, okay, let's dig in. So when I dug in, within the work, there was an exercise that they like to help people through to listen differently. And I will say without a shadow of a doubt that the work is powerful and important, that if we all could learn how to listen differently, listen for what's underneath what someone is saying, to forget about the story, to forget about the circumstance, but to listen to what's underneath, we can be more proactive about finding solutions for people's problems and connect versus disconnect. So the 3 steps that I've created comes from his work, but I take responsibility and say, well, hold on. If I'm supposed to listen differently to you and figure out what's going on for you, shouldn't I be able to identify it in myself first? Shouldn't I know what's going on inside of me before I try to do it on you? So my 3 steps comes from that work, but I've reversed it. I've made it more of you take responsibility for you because we have to start there. So step number 1, and I'm going to invite everybody who is here and everyone who's watching this in the future to go to jjflizanes.com/feelings list, feelings with an S, because I'm going to give you this paper that's going to be very important to you. It's a document. It's the feelings and needs list. And there are 2 sections. The top is the feelings list. So step number 1 to untangle messy emotional situations, I don't care what the circumstance is to identify what you're feeling. What feeling am I having right now? Do you know how many people can't identify what they're feeling? We have like 5 words. I'm mad, I'm sad, I'm depressed, I'm stressed, I'm happy, I'm angry, right? But there are 100 different feeling words on this paper. 100. Why are there 100? Well, if we look at the category of anger or mad, and I say to you, you know what? I'm really frustrated today. You'd say, JJ, okay, well, what's going on? If I came to you and I said, I'm enraged, you might say, okay, what's going on, right? Enraged is a much different intensity of anger than frustrated. So it's important to identify the real emotion that you're having. What's real for you? In fact, the whole work of Dr. Marshall Rosenberg came from watching riots and people kill each other. And he said to himself, what drives us to be like this? What is real for us that makes us do these things, which is what the whole work was based on. So you have to get in touch with what's real for you right now and how do I identify that more specifically? All right, so step 1, what emotion am I feeling? And I will tell you that anytime you have a negative emotion, it's because there's a need that's not being met. Every single time. You have a need that's not being met that's creating this negative emotion. Now let's talk about needs for a second, because in our culture, we have a really bad taste in our mouth about needs. It sounds needy, it sounds dependent, it sounds like I'm stupid. What do you mean needs? No, there are 86 basic human needs in our lives. And they go from sustenance and air and water and hydration to rest, acknowledgement, connection, companionship. These are all basic human needs. So step 1, what am I feeling? Step 2, what need is not being met? That's creating this feeling. Now, I said need or perception of a need. If you think about love languages, how many of you understand the different love languages? Okay, I had a client who was working on her marriage. I was helping to save her marriage because there was infidelity, there was disconnection. And when we looked at the love languages, her love language was touch. Well, so she didn't feel loved because she wasn't being touched. And then when she looked at her husband and looked at him and thought, well, you don't love me. You're not doing it in the way that is good for me. So when we looked at the love languages, we found out his love language was acts of service. So now when she went back with the point of view of he cooks me dinner, he buys groceries, he cleans the house, the laundry list of things and ways that he loves her that she wasn't accepting. In her mind, her need was not being met. I'm not being loved because she wanted it through touch. But that's a perception. When she understood that he's giving her love in a way she's not used to or that she doesn't really love, didn't make her warm and fuzzy to get it through acts of service, but when she could clearly see, oh my God, he really does love me, now that need is being met. So step 3, so we have the feeling, what am I feeling? What need is not being met that's creating this feeling or the perception of the need. Step number 3, what are the strategies? Really important, more than one. It cannot be, you have to change to make me feel better. Oh no, I don't like the way you behave around me, you have to change. That, first of all, is not realistic. Good luck trying to make everyone in your life act differently so that you feel better. Isn't gonna happen. Unrealistic, not gonna happen. So what strategies can I take? 3 different strategies can I take to get my need met? And this is the most important part, that do not require anyone else to be different. What strategies can I take to get my need met? 3 or more that don't require anyone else to be different. So in the case of, I have a need for, this happened to me actually recently. I was in Dallas at Podcast Movement and I ran into another podcasting friend of mine who used to live close by, then she moved away and then she came back and I saw her and I've been seeing her on social media and she's been flitting around the country and in Mexico and having good times with people that we know and I'm over here feeling sad. I'm sad, I'm jealous. So I see her and she gives me a great big hug. And she said, oh my God, it's so nice to see you. I miss you. And I went, I'm mad at you. Tears started flowing down my eyes. And she went, you're mad at me? And I'm like, well, I'm really sad. See, tears, sad. That was in order to kind of keep my respect of myself to say mad. But really, I was sad. So what's my need? My need was for connection. Now, is it her responsibility to make me feel connected? Of course not. But I wanted to feel connection. And here's someone who I have a relationship with. So in that case, then I get to say, I miss you. I'd like to spend more time with you. Would you like to connect with me more? And then we had dinner. So when we take responsibility for the way that we feel, no one else is responsible. So no one else can hurt you. They are mirrors to your traumas. They are mirrors to your pain. And I promise you will feel empowered faster if you do no other work, and I do lots of other work, if you do no other work than to master figuring out what your feeling is, what need is not being met and how do I get that need met over and over again, and then learn how to listen differently to other people and what their real need is. Forget the story. Forget what they're talking about. It's not about the context. It's about what need are they looking to get met through the story in which they're telling. You'll master feeling empowered because you know that you're the only person who can make yourself happy, get your own needs met, as well as be of more service to you and to others. So again, jjflizanes.com/feelings list. Please print many of them. Put them everywhere. Put them on your refrigerator, put them in your car, put them in your bag, put them at your desk. Anytime you have a negative emotion, stop and say, what need is not being met? What am I really feeling right now? Where do I feel that in my body? What's a good indicator for feelings? And then how do I get that need met? And I promise, life will get a lot easier. Thank you so much.